Guys, so dumbbell lateral lunge is a really great way to integrate some frontal plane leg training, which is going to help us from a closed kinetic chain standpoint, closed chain being in contact with the ground, utilize those abductors and those adductors in a natural way, a way that they work throughout daily life as we go from one foot stance to the next of having to stabilize at the hip, okay? But for a lot of people moving in that direction, again, maybe not normal, so we want to ease into these types of movements from a range of motion standpoint and from a loading standpoint. But when we're just talking about lateral lunge, I'll go through a couple different ways we can load it, not through a full loading progression, but the technique itself from our lateral lunges, easiest place is to start with one leg at a time. All right, toes are started and pointed forward. And as you step straight out to the side, not back behind, not in front, but trying to step straight out to the side, biggest common error that we'll see is going to be either a toe going out to the side or that knee going forward, or both of those things, okay? So in order to get better glute activation, especially glutes, glute medius, using all those abductors to drive us back, we want to keep those toes relatively forward, and we want to keep them both in contact with the ground. It's not a Cossack squat. Okay, so first piece, stepping out to the side. How far? Honestly, it's going to be dictated by lever length as well as flexibility. If you've got someone with super tight adductors, then we're not going to have them going way out to the side because they're not going to be able to get themselves back up. So start with a nice controlled, moderate step to the side. And the biggest piece, as that foot hits, we want to see the butt go back. Butt's going to go back, chest is going to come forward a little bit. And what you can see here, especially if you look from the side, is what we end up getting is a really nice loading of that hip. Almost like if we were going into an athletic motion. It doesn't need to be, it's not an ass to grass squat. If you've got the flexibility for it, that's great. But even going that deep on the lateral lunge, sometimes it's going to take the load out of the hips and it'll bring it further down into the quads. So stepwise, taking that step, lateral, chest is going to come forward, driving back up to the top. And initially, just with that one side at a time is going to be the best way before we start stringing in side to side. Okay, it's just an additional motion, so we would consider that to be a pretty basic progression. But when it comes to loading of the lateral lunge, much like a lot of our other lower body moves, probably the easiest place to load initially is going to be a front load, just so we can keep that weight controlled in front. And then as clients get stronger, or we do want to just challenge the hips more and not holding the weight up top, double dumbbell. Only issue here is coaching and getting those weights around the leg. Not uncommon with the weights coming around the leg for that to want to pull people further forward. So you just want to still make sure as we come right around that leg, we're sitting those hips back, maintaining good position, driving back to the top. Same idea, just doing that single side first before we start to integrate in multiple sides together. But lateral lunges, really great for some people. Maybe it's an accessory leg exercise that's going to come after some of your primary compound, maybe bilateral movements like squats, deadlifts, RDLs, whatever it might be, or just a good way to start to get people loading into these different planes of motion, really firing up adductors, abductors. Lateral lunges, there you go.